The Kaliningrad Oblast coast on the Baltic Sea is a real treasure trove. We're going to try to discover its secrets. The Curonian Spit is one of the pearls on its shores. This part of the Baltic coast is also home to several seaside resorts, much to the delight of both inhabitants and passing tourists. And finally, we'll visit one of the most magnificent four-masted boats in the world, which regularly cruises off the coast from its home port of Kaliningrad. This Russian enclave within the European Union, or Little Russia, as it's known by its inhabitants, lies between Poland, Lithuania and Belarus. As the crow flies, it's 1,088 kilometers from Moscow. But honor where honor is due. Let's begin with the pearl of this exceptional barrier beach, its Isthmus. It's a sandy peninsula which separates the salt water of the eastern part of the Baltic Sea from the fresh water of the Curonian Lagoon. It varies in width from 400 meters to almost 4 kilometers, and it stretches for some 96 kilometers, divided almost equally between Lithuania and the Kaliningrad Oblast in Russia. The deforestation of the isthmus to allow boat building in the 18th century and the overgrazing of livestock, combined with repeated battering by storms, have accelerated the erosion of these dunes, and the isthmus almost disappeared completely. In 1987, a huge project was instigated to replant the forests and preserve the species of this natural environment. The whole area is protected by 2 national parks.
С 2000 года Куршская коса, как единый российско-литовский объект, включен в список всемирного наследия ЮНЕСКО. Поэтому национальные парки Куршская коса и Куршунерия работают совместно, разрабатывают единую научную базу данных и обмениваются опытом.
In autumn, when night falls, the splashing of the waves is drowned out by the sound of wings. Hundreds of thousands of birds fly over the isthmus every day. It's a migration route for some 150 species of bird, which head from the north of Europe to the south and North Africa.
Избегая воды, а птицы очень не любят летать над открытыми просторами или Балтики, или Куршского залива, птицы здесь концентрируются, и это приводит к тому, что здесь пролетает очень много птиц, что выгодно нам, ученым. И то, что здесь летит очень много птиц, известно, конечно, очень давно, поэтому первая в мире орнитологическая станция была основана именно здесь, на Куршской косе, еще в 1901 году. Была она немецкой. Спустя всего 12 лет после того, как отсюда уехали немецкие ученые в 1944 году, в 1956 году здесь была основана советская орнитологическая станция. Вот чтобы изучать здесь, над Куршской косой, пролет птиц.
The ornithologists have installed the biggest bird traps in the world on this migration route. They're 15 meters long. During rush days, these giant nets capture more than 8,000 birds per hour. This ornithological station is called Fringilla, the Latin name for the finch, one of the most common birds on the isthmus. All the captured birds are weighed, checked, ringed, and registered before being released back into the wild. Around 30 to 40,000 new registrations are added to the database every year. At the migration peak, this place is a hive of activity, as the Curonian Spit is a place which attracts ornithologists of every nationality.
На пике миграции, это у нас, как правило, конец сентября, первая половина октября, в некоторые даты этого периода здесь пролетает порядка 1 миллиона птиц. Гигантский поток птиц летит над косой.
In order to educate people about preserving this exceptional natural environment, the ornithological station is open to the public. Now, here's the biggest luggage tag in Russia. It weighs 20 grams, and who do we put it on? The big species: storks, swans, cranes, eagles, and so on. Let's stay in the air to discover another feature of this isthmus, which is due not only to history, but also to its topological configuration. Its dunes are amongst the highest in Europe. They're an average of 35 meters high, but in some places they can be over 60 meters.
После Первой мировой войны по условиям Версальского договора Германии было запрещено иметь моторные летательные аппараты. И этот факт, а также большое количество молодых людей, влюбленных в небо, способствовали бурному развитию планерного спорта. И в 20-е годы прошлого века, когда первые соревнования принесли сенсации, мировые рекорды, было принято решение основать вблизи Расситена планерную школу.
Every year, enthusiasts revive the tradition using their arms to fly these first gliders. It really is a lot of fun. Among these dunes, replanted mainly with pines or birch trees to prevent erosion, a mystery hides in a small area of forest, the stuff of legends, a dancing forest. Here, the trees seem to dance and embrace, and it's nothing to do with the wind. Legends have it that a butterfly attacked the heart of these trees, or that it's due to chemical products abandoned by the Germans during the Second World War, or even to the Earth's magnetic field. In fact, no one can explain this phenomenon. So, wandering among these trees, you just have to let your imagination run wild in this mysterious and peculiar little patch of forest. Far from the hustle and bustle of the towns and seaside resorts, charming little fishing villages lend a peaceful aspect to the Isthmus, as well as a natural and historic dimension, including in its food. Its proximity to the lagoon and to the Baltic Sea means that fish have always been a traditional food in this area. Contrary to expectation, given the latitude of the region, winters are mild on this coast. Temperatures very rarely drop below -10 degrees Celsius, and there is little snow. Without the help of the cold, the inhabitants have found a way of preserving the fish they catch for several months, a natural solution which uses local resources such as salt and dead wood.
На Курской косе мы продолжаем коптить рыбу по многовековым курским традициям. Мы коптим местную рыбу, такую как судак, лещ и, конечно же, угорь.
Time to eat, a borscht or a soup, and, of course, not without the traditional little glass of vodka. Moving on to new surroundings a few tens of kilometers further south, well, not completely new, as we're still by the sea and on a sand dune, despite its wooded appearance. This long concrete seaside promenade was built to protect the dune from erosion and from buffeting by storms. At the top of the 40-meter-high dune, the town of Svetlogorsk, with its 13,000 inhabitants, became very fashionable among German holidaymakers at the beginning of the 19th century. In 1820, it was officially recognized as a spa town. According to tradition, each person coming for treatment had to plant a tree, which explains the greenness of this dune. Strolling around the streets, you can experience the charm of its old villas, well maintained and restored, and its Art Nouveau-style water tower. Thomas Mann, the famous German writer, fell in love with the place. Its atmosphere, at once calm and chic, makes it almost like the Deauville of Kaliningrad. Like the rest of the region, it seduces you with its authenticity.
Поскольку Светлогорск у нас находится на холме, для облегчения доступа к пляжу в 80-е годы прошлого столетия была построена эта канатная дорога.
In fact, it was originally a funicular and was built before the First World War. Down by the sea, the hardier visitors can enjoy the beach with water temperatures up to 22 degrees Celsius in the summer. And others can relax or walk along this long promenade for several kilometers. Svetlogorsk has managed to retain its old world style, but it also moves with the times, as evidenced by its brand new auditorium. We're back in Kaliningrad, the capital of this oblast, and the home port of one of the most magnificent four-masted boats, the Korzenstern. It's getting ready to go back out to sea, and of course it illustrates how such a boat would originally have looked.
Экипаж здоров, капитан Михаил Еремченко.
This Russian four-masted boat, the second largest in the world, was built in Germany in 1926 under the name of Padua. It was given to the Soviet Union in 1946 under the War Reparations Scheme. Renamed after the explorer Adam Johann von Korzenstern, it's become what is now a training ship for cadets of the Russian Navy. It takes part in many international regattas and has sailed around the world several times. It's clear from the cups and trophies decorating the walls and display cabinets of its museum that it is a very successful boat. Aboard, there are 250 Marines, including 120 cadets, who will spend each day at sea learning to work its 3,400 square meters of sails and its many ropes. The maneuvers are carried out at a pace and are very exact. Precision must become a natural reflex. Even more impressive, the cadets will also have to climb the masts over 50 meters high without a harness. They have just a safety jacket with a carabiniere that they use only if they feel a gust of wind or other danger. A visit to this Baltic coast on the Kaliningrad Oblast, with its natural landscapes and its traditions, certainly opens up new travel opportunities.